I thought I'd show you my garden. I got into square foot gardening this year. Here's some of the boxes filled with dirt as things get growing. I'm just showing you my gardening table there. Beans, peas. This is my pumpkin, the only one that survived. And I planted some red beans to fix some nitrogen there. It's about 15 feet long now. I'm going to pull off all but the best blossoms and see if I can get that giant pumpkin. I'm not sure, but we'll see. These are the initial 4 boxes I made. Corn, zucchini, beans, peas, sunflowers, carrots, beets, nasturtium. I did do broccoli, but bugs got it, so I pulled it and planted nasturtium in its place. The 5th box I put in there on the left, you can only see the very corner of it. That's the tomato. I kind of just did these in order to show the progress. Here's a tomato next to the zucchini. I was going to have a 6th box, but I ran out of wood, ran out of dirt. And this is just the progress of these 3 boxes. Next one, this is the zucchini and the peppers. And I built this frame for them. My daughter helped me. And it folds out to support the zucchini so they don't sit in the dirt. The peppers didn't do too well, but I'm hoping. I saw some flowers today, but it's already mid-August, so we'll see. And here's the corn now topping. Here's some male and female zucchini blossoms. Here's a zucchini today, not quite ready. And here's some of the harvest I've gotten early on. I like to pick them small. Here's the corn box starting. I had trouble with the animals. They kept plucking the corn out, so I had to put wire up. I finally was able to keep the animals at bay. Here the male pollen is starting, and some has fallen on the blonde silk here. This was an unusual plant. I had to cut that off. It didn't have any corn on it, so it looked like it was ready to flower. Here's the beans, peas, and beet box. And I'm showing you the beans right now. This is just a representative sample. These are red beans, which I'll let go to seed. And here's my initial harvest early on in July. I had so much I had to freeze, so that's an example there. Here's the sweet peas. They kind of fell over, and I'll do some better trellising next year. But here's some of the pods. You can see I'm letting some go to peas, and they're abundant right now. I like how the sun is shining through peas in a pod. And here's some I shucked, and I'll have those tomorrow. Here's carrots, broccoli, corn, sunflowers. Broccoli got bugs, so I had to pull it. Just the progress of this box. I'm taking these pictures over my deck, and the sunflowers have finally popped, and there were some bees pollinating them today. So that's kind of exciting to get this color in the garden. And the height's quite dramatic. So I've really enjoyed it. Here's my tomatoes and basil starting out. And I've harvested a lot of basil. I've got to let it grow some more now. I've taken too much off. Nasturtium. Here's a sample of the basil in one of my first harvests. Tomatoes. Nasturtium. Supposedly edible, but I haven't wanted to eat them. Red nasturtium coming out. More tomatoes, and These are Best Girls, these next bunch. They're very sweet. They make a really good bruschetta, or topping for bruschetta. Here's my potato. I think I'll get 3 plants out of that, as well as 3 plants out of this tinier one. I was worried about that. I'm going to have to really nurture this and cover it so it doesn't freeze. I found limited success with potatoes this year. They're healthy, but just too small. The eyes grew too late in the season. Morning Glories, one of my favorite flowers on my deck here. They grow up this trellis and shield the sun from my house. These are the colors I have. And the sign of man with the 5 division there, not the pentagram, but just a beautiful plant. Here's a panoramic view looking north. My beets. I harvested some beets yesterday, 5, and these 2 were ready, but I left them in the garden because I have these to eat here that I prepared yesterday. I could only eat half of those. Here's just a panoramic view again of everything. This will help me plan for next year where to plant what. Another view of the pumpkin through the deer fence, which has kept the animals out. I highly recommend that. And just swinging around to my gardening table, and here's sunflowers, through the sunflowers to my carrots. Just kind of coming around under my deck. There's my stonework I did. I dug up that bed so I could walk straight out. And, you know, I'm not a mason, but I did the best I could. And it looks alright. And I had chrysanthemums there in a bed, and I was having to walk through dirt, so I took that apart. Okay, now I turn the camera around, and this is my compost pile, empty. I need more dirt. 3 weeks later, I found these tomato plants, very lush, growing in my compost pile. And just a view going around the garden. Just trying to get relationships for next year so I can improve on it. I can see I would do things differently. Coming back around to the tomatoes, the zucchini. See, the peppers aren't doing too well, but that's an older picture. They're doing better today. Beans, peas, zucchini. Just getting a perspective on things. Coming back around to the corn. It's pretty tall. Here's the male reaching down, dropping the pollen on the blonde silk. This is an earlier picture. You can see the pollen in the hair, in the silk, and that's the one I picked today. We're in the last third of summer here. Beans are still producing. Corn is abundant. The Rudbeckia and the Echinacea, those are at their peak. The sunflowers, they're very heavy with seed. All the corn is drying up now, and I cut it down, tied it up, and I put it on my front porch. I'll bring it into the garage and use it as fire starter in my fireplace this winter. Help me keep warm. These are the last of the carrots. This hyacinth bean is going to pod now. The lavender flowers and the deep purple pods are a vertical treat to your eye. When the second hard frost came, I picked all the pods and I'm drying them for next year's seeds. We're in the first third of fall, and the fall colors are emerging. This euonymus, or burning bush, turns a very dramatic red. The apple trees are still green, and I got some apples. And now autumn is 2/3 over. I've burned what I can in the fire pit. I've composted all my boxes. I filled up my larger compost pile, and all the late fall earth tones are emerging. So that's it for the 2010 garden.